Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Deja with Twisted Sisters Mojo. I thought I would rock my whites today in honor of the topic that I'm going to be discussing. So, what we're going to be talking about today is transitioning from paganism, or one of the pagan paths, into one of the ATRs, or one of the African diasporic religions. When I say that, I'm talking about Santeria, I am talking about Voodoo, I'm talking about Palo, any of those. Okay, first thing you need to understand is that I don't care how many degrees you have in a pagan path or a Wiccan path or what have you. I don't care if you've run a coven for 20 years. When you step into the African diasporic religions, you are coming in as a child that knows zero. All of this experience, all of this knowledge, yes, it's great. Don't lose it. Continue to use it. But understand that you are stepping into a whole nother world. This world is steeped in tradition. It is steeped in ceremony. It is steeped in history. So you need to understand that you are going to be relearning everything all over again. It's not as simple as, okay, if you're a priestess or a high priestess or priest in Wicca, that means shit. In Santeria, that means nothing. And I'm not kidding, it means zero. Nothing, because you will be starting from the ground up as a child, as a infant, as someone who knows nothing. Because it is a completely different, these are completely different religious systems. That's like apples and onions. It is completely different. So you need to understand that it's not the same, and you need to be able to take that high priestess or high priest mentality and ego, and you need to put that sucker back in the trunk if you're stepping over. Because if you don't, you're going to get dressed down and you're going to be put in check by an elder in one of the communities. You're just they're gonna check you. Another thing to understand is these are not cheap religions. Extremely expensive to become a Santero or a Santera or a Mambo or a Hungan. Extremely expensive. Thousands of dollars. Part of the reason for those expenses is the sacrifices and the clothing and the animals and the food and all of it. All of that money that goes into your ceremonies is very specifically allotted for the things that are needed within that ceremony. To become a Santero or a Santera or a Hungan or a Mambo, you're talking double-digit thousands of dollars. I shit you not. The price may vary depending on the location of your ile, what part of the country, who you are being crowned to. All of that factors into the costs. But you still need to understand this is a very, very expensive religion. In my opinion, part of that expense too is to deter people who are not meant to walk that path, who are not meant to become a Santero or a Santera. It discourages a lot of people from just willy-nilly decided, I'm going to call myself a Santera and do this, that, and the third. Also, these religions are very much lineaged. So people will check your lineage. Who are your godparents? Who is your padrino? Who is your madrina? So it is very lineaged. And once you become a member of an Ile, you fall under the protection of your madrina, your padrino. And that in and of itself is a safe haven and a safe place for you to learn what it is that you need to learn. And it's very important because these religions, these paths, have very specific ceremonies for each of the Orisha, for divination, for, I mean, all of it. These religions are extremely complicated and detailed. And that's not something that you can go on the internet and learn. And not something that you can find out unless you actually walk the path. This is something that we live every single day. It's not something that we do on Sabbats or Esbats or take lightly. This is every single day of our lives. So yeah, be prepared for a huge brain fuck because yeah, it is completely different. Am I trying to discourage you from transitioning from paganism into one of the ATRs? No, absolutely not. I'm trying to give you a realistic understanding of what to expect. Not everybody in the religions or in these paths is destined to become a Santero or a Santera or a Babalao or Oba or whatever have you. That is determined by specific ceremonies, specific divinations done by specific members of the priesthood. So if it is part of your life path to walk this path and become a Santera, they're going to tell you. Excuse me. And they're going to tell you what ceremonies you need and what it is and what's involved in all of that. To enter into the priesthood, it is a huge, huge money commitment, and it is also a huge dedication commitment. You spend a year in white. Ladies, you get your head shaved, for God's sake, in general. There are sometimes extenuating circumstances where that doesn't happen, but that is pretty much common within the religion, is for the ladies and gentlemen to have their head shaved. The initiatory ceremony to begin your year in white is 7 days. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I did walk a pagan path for many years, but I kept being drawn back, and I kept being drawn back, and I'm like, you know what? Okay, if this is where I'm supposed to be, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm going to do what I need to do. I just received the last major ceremony that I need before I can take the next step, which is making the saint, which is Ocha, which would begin my year in white. So hopefully by this time next year, I'll be well on my way. At least hopefully a couple months in. But has it been worth it? Absolutely. It has absolutely been worth it. My life has changed because of the decision to embrace it fully. So yeah, it's absolutely worth it. But what I'm asking is, if you are walking a pagan path and you find yourself like, man, oh yeah, it's calling to me and I got to work with her, you can do that. But you have to understand that that doesn't make you a member of the religion. It means that you're honoring that Orisha. You need to understand that you're switching from a polytheistic religion to a religion or religions that believe in God and believe that the Orisha are more like angelic beings versus the traditional version of God and Goddess. So there's a lot you got to let go of. There's two, and as far as like honoring and working with the Orisha, there's a couple schools of thought. And I'm going to present them both, and I'm not going to throw my opinion into it. But more traditionalists within the religions believe that if you're not walking the path, then it's pointless for you to try and work with the Orisha, because they're generally not going to hear you. Some people believe that they hear and work with anybody and everybody. And, you know, they probably do to a certain extent. But you also have to take into account that unless you know the songs, unless you know the dances, unless you know the sacrifices, unless you know all of the ins and outs of this particular Orisha, you're not going to get the full benefit. So, you know, if you want to honor them, honor them. But for the love of all that is holy, stop mixing the Orisha and the Loa in your pagan ceremonies. You know, if you're going to honor them, give them their place. And honor the fact that they come from a place of where their whole history was erased during slavery. So, you know, that's where all of the Catholicism and the Catholic synchronization comes in. Is a lot of these practices went underground. They had to, because of slavery. So honor that history. You need to understand that you cannot practice Santeria or any of the other diasporic religions without ancestor worship. The two go hand in hand. Anytime you get a consultation or you begin your path, the first thing you are going to be told is, set yourself up a boveda. Set your ancestral altar up. Because that's where a lot of your time is going to be spent, is working with your ancestors. So, yeah. So I'm keeping it kind of short, and I'm not sure how this video is actually going to go over. I guess we'll wait and see. But I hope that, you know, like I said, I wasn't trying to discourage anybody from making the change. I just want you to know the realities of what it is and what it isn't. You know? So if your path is to walk in Vudan or Santeria or Palo, then you're going to keep getting drawn back to that. So if you decide to make the jump, find yourself a reputable Ile. Find yourself a reputable Babalao. Find yourself someone within the community that is active, that can help to get you in the right directions and do things the right way. Don't just wing it. Yeah, because you cannot just wing working with the Loa. You cannot just wing working with the Orisha. No, please don't. Just don't. Anyhow, this is Deja. This is Twisted Sisters Mojo. Please do us a favor. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Leave us a comment. And we will see you guys on the next video.